Welcome to the Full Menu Podcast. I am your host, Donovan Gaspard, with my co-host, the head of the light skin clan. This is James. How are you doing, my friend?
What's up, man? You didn't think I was gonna make it back, did you?
I knew you was gonna make it back. That's why I'm right on time.
I heard that countdown while I was in the kitchen.
Oh shit! Oh man, how was your week, man?
Trash.
How is your week so far? I should say.
Trash, man. Awful week.
Trash.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, bro. I'm glad we got this. So you can have something to look forward to every week.
Yeah, man. It was it's ups and downs, man. We have a lot of these relationship conversations, and there's different tiers to these conversations. We talk about how men and women interact all the time, but the experience is different. If you're some dude that's just sitting at home playing video games on the couch all day, your experience is going to be different than if you're out there making stuff happen in the world.
Nice.
And you got to fight that, and then come home and do all that other stuff. So yeah. I can't wait to get into it today, man.
What do they say? More money, more problems, man.
Man, there's a part of me that wants to go back.
Everything's hard, right? Either you can be broke and live a hard life, or you can be rich, or it can be hard trying to be rich, right? Pick your hard. Which one do you want, right? So I would always choose to try to get rich one, man, or to be rich one. So that's just me personally. That's the hard.
I agree with you 100%. At least when you have nothing, though, you don't have the pressure of losing nothing. Losing it, right?
You just ain't got shit, though, man.
Yeah, maintaining it, shit. I'd have made $1 million multiple times and lost $1 million multiple times. So I've been through that stress. It's all good, though, man. At least I got you, Donovan.
Hey, man, you know what? I appreciate that, man. It's always good to feel like we have brothers from another, and that they actually reciprocate the love that we have for each other. So I love you, bro. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here, man. On this wonderful Thursday, by the way.
Absolutely. So, whenever I get down and out, I can just open up YouTube and look for some old clips of reality show TV.
Oh, fuck you. Yeah, you want to laugh at some shit? Go ahead and watch Ready to Love season 6, episode 4.
Are you on there?
No, that wasn't me. I don't know who that was. Some dude came through, but anyway, came up and shook and was it Crush the Buildings like Snoop did?
I know a couple of people that were on that show, man. Jay Brad from Houston.
Yeah, I know Jay. Yeah, JB.
He's actually my broker for my some property I brought down there. He's a cool dude, man. Yeah, shout out to Jay Bradley.
You know what? We gotta get him on here, man. I wonder if one night he'll come on here. Hey, look, if you want to see a chocolate brother, that's a chocolate brother. If you want to have like the whole the United Nations of Negroes, we would definitely go ahead and bring him on here, and I think he would fill that gap. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Good dude. Let's get into it, man.
All right, man. Well, listen. This episode this evening is basically we're going to talk about why do men and women struggle to understand each other. Okay. What say you about this, man?
I think it's because we communicate differently or don't communicate, right?
Okay.
So if men and the men I know, partially because of the way we have to exist in, going out there and building whatever we're building, right, professionally, there's a certain way of being that you have to engage in to be successful out there. Mm-hmm. So I think we're a little more direct. If something's wrong, we kind of bring it up. What I've noticed about,
they're in the chat, communication. So we said.
What I've noticed about women is they don't necessarily, they're not as direct as we are. And they will be in a mood before they they articulate what it is that has them in that mood. And I'm not talking about all women, obviously, but enough to warrant a conversation about it.
I agree.
I think that's an issue.
Yeah. I also feel like so we say communication, right? But a lot of people I think the issue that we have is that a lot of people think communication is just talking, right? The communication there's a form of communication is just listening as well, right? And also comprehension. And I think those are the things that are typically missing in a conversation when it comes between men and women It's really gaining a perspective, but also trying to understand what they're saying, right? How they're saying it. And I also think that sometimes people read too far into the communication, right? If I said what I said, I didn't mean anything else. There was no misinterpretation. There was no like direct, indirect meaning. I'm not doing any subliminal messages or anything like that. I said what I said, and that's what I said. And we're like, that's like you said, men are direct. That's what we said. We weren't. There was no misinterpretation or whatever it may be. And I think those are also, that's how you're listening to me. So I said what I said. I was clear in my communication, but I don't think it landed the way that it should because you are listening in a different filter. I think those are things that are very important. So, I mean, obviously, with the Full Meaning Podcast, we break everything down in segments. So this is the appetizer. Wanted to break this down. And this is the top 5 reasons men and women misunderstand each other. Number 1, different communication styles. Men are direct, women express emotion first. Number 2, men want to solve, women want to be heard. Why men try to fix the problems instead of just listening.
Okay.
I feel like it can also go the other way. Number 3, emotional expression versus emotional containment. All right. Women openly express emotions while men suppress them.
Well, we have to suppress them because
we can't get a word out.
We will we will burn the whole city down. So we have to. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Number 4, different priorities in relationships. Women focus on emotional connections. Men focus on stability. Number 5, cultural and social conditioning. How childhood and society shape how men and women approach relationships. I think this is probably like the one that a lot of people don't look at enough. Is this last one, number 5? But I'll go ahead and comment about those top 5.
Look, I like number 5 because there's a couple other cultures that I'm witnessing. Like, ooh, yeah, okay, I like how. Look, I said what I said. Them cultures. But I want to go back to. I want to go back to number 2.
Okay.
The men want to solve.
Problems. Yeah.
Women want to be heard. Bro, sometimes I just, I don't have time to, like, if we're going to solve it, let's solve it, because I got to get back to,
right. We doing all this extra stuff.
This empire, right? In my life, like this, and this is, I'm talking about all the communication that I've had from, teenager up until, through adulthood. And, I think we were talking at that last conversation that we had about men. We have to create a safe space, whether it's for our family or for our significant other. And part of creating that space is being the bigger person and not reacting what feels natural, but reacting in a way that's conducive to that remaining a safe space. So, but I don't have to. I haven't had to deal with that much lately, like these past years. But if you just want to be heard, I think you need to articulate that instead of just wanting to be heard and having the expectation that we know you just want to be heard. Because I need to fix it. I need to fix it because I understand the value of time, and I understand how important every second and every minute is, right? There are no free refills. Once your minutes run out, they know you're done, right? So as I get older, as I get older, I look at that differently. Now I'll be 50 next year, right? And now I look at time is I look at it differently than I did 20 years ago. So if you're talking just to talk or just to process, I can do that up to a certain point, but you really got to catch me at the right time. That you can't lead with that all the time, because if you do, it's okay, but you can't have expectations that the rest of the world is going to adhere to your process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you just want to process, go talk to your girlfriends. Oops.
Yeah, man. Okay.
I called 911 on accident.
Damn shit. You said you need help.
These buttons, man. All I be pushing all these buttons at the same time.
You dog, you blow up. Your phone. Oh man, no, that's big though. Like, so I'm real big on, again, tell me what it, like, let's give me a I want to say subtitles, but you know what, just give me a context, right, in which, like, you come to talk to me, give me a context. Hey, just listen. Hey, give me some feedback before you start talking, right, before you start vomiting right on me. If just let me know, because sometimes I also feel like sometimes you have to ask the other person that you're talking to, hey, is now a good time for me to do this? Because you could have just went through some shit, right? You could have had a deal to just fall apart. And you know what I'm saying? And you over here and you coming to me about what Betty did to you at work, or whatever. And it's small in comparison to the way I look at it. So I always felt, the context is always going to be important, and also the situation. So, and I'm not saying I'm not creating safe space, but again, it's really being conscious and also like respectful of each other's space and like where you are right now, because I have to be in a space of being able to receive what you're about to probably, give me. Because I really want to be able to focus and communicate to you, or just listen, right? Because if not, if I'm not in a space, because you got to make sure when you're vomited on me, I'm in a space of being okay to listen. Because if not, I'm gonna be like, yo, all right, you got 2 minutes. Get it all out right now. Okay, what? I can't believe she did that. Oh man, that sucks. You know what? All right, cool. I got a call in like 10 minutes. Right. I gotta prepare for this or something like that. And I feel like that's the most important thing, is like we also have to be very, very conscious of the other person's space and when you are coming to talk to them. Because if they're not in the right space to receive you, there can be a total miscommunication, and that's the setting that you're creating, the setting in which you're creating that conversation. I think that's important, and a lot of people don't really talk about that.
That is important. Timing is everything.
Yeah,
If we're just watching TV and you say something like, what happened today at work or whatever it is, that's the appropriate time. But when you break up, like, if you come into my office and then, have one of those conversations, it's cool for a couple minutes, but it could have been, it depends on the day that I'm having. It could have been a great day where everything went right. Or it could have been a day where, look, I need to raise $250,000 in 10 days. And I just found out, and I gotta,
like 5 minutes ago.
yeah, I just found out 5 minutes ago, and here you come in, so it's that balance. Sometimes we're not in a place to be able to have those conversations because we're still processing what we consider the big stuff outside of the home. So you're right. Timing is everything, man.
Yeah. Time is everything. Fellas, what's one thing about women you just don't get? And ladies, what confuses you about men? Anybody out there want to chime in and say what they got to say? The timing is important.
I do not see how people can still be confused after coexisting
Understand
since the beginning of time,
thousands of years already.
Yeah,
what are we in?
I think it's a generational thing, man. I think now with technology and just the way people communicate, not just men and women, but as a whole, I think it's taking something away from the human experience.
Right.
For example, when you and I were, teenagers, long time ago, right? We were teenagers. You had to put time and effort into communicating with people. You wouldn't just DMing people, right? Or you wouldn't just swiping left or swiping right. You actually had to go up and have a conversation,
right,
with people.
I had to remember a phone number.
Yeah.
And a piece of paper with me.
Yes, back when you didn't have to put
remember a number. I had to remember a number, man. That's something.
And you know what? The numbers that we memorized back then, we still remember today.
Yes, to this day.
But I think it's just changed, man, and people are so desensitized to all of the things that they see through this technology that when it is time to communicate, there's less of a filter nowadays, and people are just spouting off whatever they feel, not understanding that, that's a luxury that adults no longer have, just to be
Yeah,
able to say what you want, right?
agreed. What do you think about this cultural and social conditioning? That's number 5. I think that's a great one right there. I think that we're disconnecting it, because I was going to say where the issues we have when we had, and this is no attack on single mothers. This is no attack on anybody that is raising a child. But
Too
when you
late.
have, huh?
They triggered already just by you saying single mothers.
Me saying that, I know.
Someone's already pissed off. Right?
I was raised by women. So, but I think that I would say this. So what my mother would tell me is that she would tell me, she told me when I was younger, hey, when I went off to college, don't worry about a girl. They ain't nothing. They ain't, they everywhere. Don't worry about, you just focus on this. So she was like warning me, about girls, about women. And so when you come up with that mindset, it's like, you look at them like, what you kind of come off as like being defensive. Right. So I feel as though, when you're a parent, it's very important to be able to communicate to your child, because that child will become an adult and they have to learn how to be able to speak about their feelings, talk about their emotions, talk about their, what's right, what's wrong, but not just that, be able to articulate how they feel. And I think that's an asset right now that is basically null and void in most households. It's literally like you're just sending them off to school. You're sending them off to, you're letting the schools try to daycare your children. You're not really having conversations with your children. You're talking at your child and not talking to your child. You're not, hey, how is it, like, what happened? Tell me, how do you feel? Like that type of thing. You're not checking in. And I feel like those are things that, like, literally you're conditioning them to go off into a world and not being able to communicate and articulate how they feel, what they're feeling, when they feel it, and how to express that to another partner. And I feel like that is one of the things that is very important. When I say a single parent household, it's because you don't have that time. It's very difficult for that one parent to be everything in those situations. But you got to you have to carve out that time to have those conversations. One of the things I'm extremely proud of, as a parent, is being able to have conversations with my kids like that. Have conversations with my son. There's literally, I sit down and I talk to my son. I'm like, I want to know, hey, how did you feel? Talk to me about it. What are you thinking? Like a lot, like take him through the emotions, get him past the emotions. And, now he's able to talk to me. And like, it's been times where he's coached me in situations where I felt as though I was like, I was being triggered by something, or I got upset, at somebody or and he was like, hey man, let it go. Like legitimately, it's like, man,
He told you that?
Yeah, like legit. He's had conversations. Go, hey man, this is what you should have did. Like, he's talking to me, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm really sitting here taking advice from my 19-year-old son at the time. But he's talking to me. He's communicating that stuff, so he understands. He's able to articulate what he's feeling. Now he may not do it all the time, because they're teenagers. They literally avoid conversations. They have conversations as they're walking away. I'm like, hey, where you going? I'm going to the gym. And he's just walking outside. But you know how that is. You like, bro, turn around, talk to me. What's going on? Where you going? But it's literally like, you have to teach your children those things. You got to teach them how to respond with it without emotion, because if not, they turn into adults and they can't communicate. And it's not just talking. You know what I mean?
So a lot of these, young parents suck. And there's some cultural issues that, we have to deal with as a culture for one. But, the problem is, and I'm glad you brought it up, because how we communicate, how we learn to communicate as children, we carry into adulthood. Yep. And the problem, and I think the biggest disconnect from Generation X to the next generation, is that there's no distinction between discipline and punishment. They're not the same thing. A lot of people don't understand that. The discipline, what you interacting with your son in your example, that's an example of discipline. There's a benefit there as far as, growth, and there's something learned there. Punishment is for compliance.
Right.
And punishment is not always good. There's been times where I punish my kids, but 99% is discipline. I still come from the generation where when the man of the house raises his voice, folks need to fall in line.
Right.
But let me explain why that is.
Right.
Because I have a young child too, and if he's running out into the street and a car's coming, I don't have time to have a long conversation with him, right? To try to convince him and create a safe space so he feels empowered to make a decision to stop. When I raise my voice, boom, you stop, and that's it. And I think that's where a major disconnect is. Too many of these kids are trying to be their kids' friends, and that's not our job.
Too many parents trying to be kids' friends. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I say kids because the parents are so young; they're kids too, right?
Yeah, that's true. Very much so. All right, so we're going to transition to the main course here, and let's talk about it. All right, so what men and women want in love? Ooh, breakdown.
Donovan, why don't you go ahead and
Okay, what men want in relationships? This is the top 5 things men want in relationships. So says this sheet of paper in front of me. Respect and admiration. Feeling valued for who they are, not what they provide. Number 2, it should be number 1. Peace and support. A woman who makes life easier, not harder. Number 3, physical connection and attraction. More than just sex, but consistent affection. Loyalty and trust. Knowing she's his teammate, not his competition. And number 5, a safe space to be vulnerable. A relationship where he can drop the tough exterior. All right, that's the 5 for the men. This is the 5 for the women. What women want in a relationship. And ladies, please chime in. And I'm pretty sure these are valid. Number 1 is security, emotionally and financially. A man that they can trust to be stable. Number 2 is emotional connection and communication, feeling heard and understood. Number 3 is consistency and effort, showing up daily, not just in the beginning. Number 4 is affection and and affection through and thoughtfulness. Sorry, affection and thoughtfulness. Small gestures mean more than just than the grand ones. And number 5 is a partner, not a project. A man who is already growing, not someone that they have to fix. Now, I want to touch on that one, but go ahead. I'm gonna talk about number 5 for the women. I really want to have a conversation about that. But go ahead.
No, you go.
So,
look, we allowed y'all to vote, and now y'all just getting carried away. We're gonna take y'all back. We're gonna start taking away rights from y'all if y'all keep. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Hey, man, somebody said on mine, blow it back out. That was where is that at? That was consistency and I guess an effort. I guess right, and blow it back out. So no, I want to touch on number 5 for the women. As far as the men are concerned, that's what we've talked about. We've been talking about literally the past like 3 episodes is about the loyalty and and that safe space for us to be vulnerable. Women have to create that space for us to be able to be vulnerable. If a man isn't vulnerable, it's potentially because the space that he's in is not considered safe, or what's the word I want to use? It's validated as a safe space, because I feel as though you may create it, but then it's always a but. And once you put a but in there, and not a BUTT, but a BUT, you put a but there, it kind of kills off every other thing. And he's not going to open up to you. If you cut him off, if you say, hey, no, this is how you should think. No, this is how you should be. This is like, that's not a validation for that. But for me, number 5 for women, a partner, not a project. So I would always ask is, where is the woman in this situation? Because I feel as that we're not all finished products as men or women. I feel like we all are. Yeah, we're because we're still growing. I don't care what level, like whatever level you're at, you're always trying to level up. You're always trying to some sort of self-development, right? So you're never going to be considered a finished project. So I feel as though, like that's really kind of contradictory of how what's the word I want to use here? this kind of generation type of a man, because of the things that we want to strive and the goals we want to accomplish and things like, we know that the person that you even meet today, even though you met me, I am Donovan, but tomorrow or in a year from now, I may be different. Yeah. As far as not completely different, but as far as the goals and things I want to accomplish, I've gained access to different things. I've seen different things. I've experienced different things. So now I want to be able to get to another level. So when we say a project, I feel like we're all projects.
Yeah, I think what they mean is, and by the way, Raynell says that when you were talking about all of the needs or what women want, she says she wanted to add that, she goes, all true. Can I add from your other convo, for mothers to know that your kids feel loved by their father? I think that's a good one too. That's very, very important. I know that doesn't show up in a lot of surveys, but that question is probably not asked. But I think that's a big one too. I think what they mean when they say not a project, there's a lack of accountability there. If you get into a situation and you realize, you wake up and you have a project, you didn't see any of that coming.
Right.
Like how are you in a relationship with this person? You didn't see that coming. So the problem is not that this was a project. I'm a real estate investor. I got to assess a deal before I want to execute. Right. I got to see, is that a project I want to take on? Let me do some due diligence. Right. So, there's got to be some accountability. And men lie, right? People lie. So if you got bamboozled or swindled into a relationship because somebody misrepresented themselves, that's one thing. I'm not talking about that. But if you've gotten to know the person a little longer, there was an actual courting process there, you would have seen that this person was a project, and then you would have been able to decide, is that something that you want to engage in or not.
Right.
But no one wakes up one day and is like, oh, I got a project. No, there were signs. Okay. He always want to borrow your car. That's a project. Okay. Now,
baby boy. Chowdy. That's a project.
Well, there's levels to it too, right? Now there's somebody once told me, he said, never date below your station in life. And that can be interpreted a bunch of different ways, because there's certain conversations that two people are not going to be able to have on the same plane. Right. So, I'm trying to give you an example. Let's say, and it's typically, it's not as magnified when the man is the dominant. I'm talking about financially and all these other things. But when the woman is dominant, and that's out of order. So it's really magnified, right? And I'll say income because that's one thing we can quantify, though we don't care about a woman's income. But if a woman is high income and a man is not high income, and he's not working on it, and he doesn't have a plan, and he doesn't have good work ethic, and he doesn't have a blueprint, and he doesn't have a background. Now it's magnified, right? Now you can say I was magnified. So, I think we're all projects. You're right. We're all projects. I'm a project relative to the man I'm going to be 5 years from now.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's it.
Yeah.
That's absolutely dangerous. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody's putting up red flags. I don't know why they putting the red flags. I don't know if it's you or just the conversation. Anyway, so when it comes to that, I also feel is that women date on potential. Like it's literally like almost in a sense, if you look at the NBA, right? Like some players get drafted off of potential, right? Off of what they can be. Yeah. But not who they are, right? So you have like guys like Kwame Brown, right, who was drafted number 1, and it's like he did not make it to be the number 1 player at any point in time in the NBA, right? But you have those things where you just have that you draft or you date on the potential of him being a good match, right?
Okay, hold it right there, because that is a huge point where conversations go sideways, dating on potential.
Yep, exactly.
So I think women should date on potential if they're 21, right? Okay. But if you're 40 dating on potential, that's your bad.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for this. I got this thing going on.
Look, I'm 49 years old. I am who I'm going to be. My only improvements are going to be professionally and in any additional personal development that I put the work in for. Right. If someone was to meet me today and decided they wanted to date on potential, when they wouldn't, because I'm already dope. But you know, I mean, I'm already there. Maybe I'm not the best example for you.
Jesus Christ.
But you get it. I'm already who I'm going to be.
Yeah.
But at 21, what else do you have, right? Except the contents of the character. So you've got to date. You've got to, you get to know people. But there's also a vetting process and getting to actually know someone, which people don't do anymore, by the way. They sleep together way too early, and it changes the dynamic of the relationship. That's why, look, fellas, just find you one woman, and then y'all just stay in the house for the rest of y'all lives. That's the best advice I can give. Don't be outside today.
Yes,
but yeah, you could date on potential if you're young enough. But if you're older, that's your bad.
Yeah. Because and I want to touch on this again. Is I know we're literally going to wrap up the first half. But the same thing when it goes to that potential is like, yes, I completely agree. Is like we have to understand that the person that you're dating is only going to be a version of either a better version or a worse version of who they are today. And I say a version because it's like legitimately like who they are is who they are, right? If they're like who they are is who they are, and that's not saying that they can't change to be better or be something better, but it's literally saying it's like, okay, what's the baseline? Look at the baseline. Where are you starting off at? Yeah. Like, what have you done? Like, tell me what jobs have you had? What dreams have you had? How long, like legitimately, like how long have you been at your current job?
Yeah.
I'm off and on. I've been working at McDonald's and like you 48, bro. Why you keep working at these places and off and on at Burger King and McDonald's, back and forth as a fried dude, but she looking like, man, he got potential because he tall, he got big hands and he got big feet. What he gonna do? Right. Nothing. Snatch your ass up and kick you. That's about it. Like that. I hate to say it like that, but you know what I'm saying? Let's just be real here. Like you got to be realistic when you're out here. You're looking for somebody who you are trying to create as a partner or have as a partner, and don't try take it when a man tells you something. Ladies. When a man tells you something, believe him. Believe him. Believe him.
Some of y'all believe him a little too much. Y'all, yeah. I'm about to be signed by that here.
I'm not saying the bad. I'm not saying the good things. I'm talking about the bad things. Yeah. Believe him. Okay. Believe him.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening is that you say, he won't do that to me. That won't happen. I can change him, or no, whatever it may be. Right? You always you're in a fix mode, and that's something. Again, we've talked about this over. Like, don't try to fix anybody. You fix you handle you, and let him handle him. Because it's like that's the responsibility we all have to take on. Is like you can't fix somebody and make somebody be somebody they aren't. You have to literally accept them for who they are. And if they choose to be better, then they choose to be better. If they don't, then that's who they are. You got to figure out if that's something you're willing to accept.
Yeah. Again, man, there's no courtship these days. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Luo.
What's up, buddy?
Can we get a cameo?
Yeah, come on in. Come on.
Nah, he ain't doing it.
Okay. All right.
All right, man. So let's go rolling into the second part.
Hold on, let me get my maid. Esmeralda. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. Yeah, man. Go ahead. Let's keep it rocking.
So this is the question that we have. So if men and women want the same things, why do we keep getting it wrong?
Because we don't want the same things.
Yeah, because do they want the same things? I don't know if they do. Or do we? Do we want the same things in a relationship? That's a good question.
No, we don't.
Okay.
No, we don't.
All right. Well, we're going to in part 2, we're going to get into the biggest complaints men and women have about each other and how they actually can fix these disconnections. All right. Here we go. So, all right, we already talked about what we just talked about here. So these are the 5 biggest complaints that men and women have about each other.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
Ooh, yeah. What drives men and women crazy about each other? Top 5 complaints that men have about women.
I'm sitting here listen like, oh, I can't wait till he says them. I forget. I got him right up in front of me too.
Like you already read it. We've already talked about this, right?
Oh, this is gonna be
They say
good.
one thing. Here we go. Number one, they say one thing, but they mean another. Well, you know what I mean. No, don't say what you mean and mean what you say. All right. They expect men to read their minds. That's number two. Number three, they test men instead of just asking what they need. Number four, they bring out past mistakes even after forgiving.
Then they didn't forgive, but go okay.
Then they didn't forgive, exactly. Number five, they change once they get comfortable in the relationship.
Okay, wait, start over. Go. What was number one?
5 complaints men have about women.
Okay,
number one.
All right.
All right. Number one, they say one thing and mean another.
Okay.
Number two, they expect men to read their minds.
Okay.
Number three, they test men instead of just asking what they need.
Okay.
Number four, they bring up past mistakes even after forgiving.
Okay.
Number five, they change once they get comfortable in the relationship. Top 5 complaints that men have about women.
Okay, I always get nervous when they say that men. I don't have any complaints about women. I know what it is. There are some things, but you get to determine the course of your own relationship. All right, and I can't believe I'm saying this because somebody told me this a long time ago. They used to tell me that I'm not going to take it there. I'm not going to take it there. I will say this.
Oh man,
you get to determine how your relationship goes. So if there's an open line of communication, and again, this is because a lot of these complaints are because there is no courting process. And because there's no courting process, you've got two people in a situation under false pretense, and now they're trying to figure out once they're already in it, right? If there was a courting process, see, you hear that dog barking in the background?
Yeah.
All right. So this is an example of what men deal with.
I'm on here doing my podcast.
Yeah. And you see how calm I am and like my demeanor right now? I could physically take this whole desk up and throw it out the window right now. Like that's where this is the stuff that we fight every day.
Someone said, God, I wish this was over here. I don't know why we're not able to get the IG comments over here, because there's one. So someone says that she says that men control the thermostat, and I replied, women change the temperature.
Oh, man. It's all gonna go back to the same thing, man. It's if you enter into a situation the right way, then things are going to be a lot smoother, and when they're not, you can work them out.
Yeah.
But because there's no courting process, and because there's no the tradition is gone, then that's where people run into all the difficulty, right? I don't complain about women. I've never complained about women. I might have complained about a woman, but that's not but I would never make a generalization, with few exceptions, right? Because whichever way I choose to go, I'm setting the tone. And if things aren't the way that I need them to be, then I'm out of there.
I'm out.
Yeah, just you too. I get, what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
So who are we talking to? It's almost, are we talking to somebody that is in the situation that just can't figure it out? Or are we talking to somebody that has had bad experiences and just sees women through a negative lens now, right? Because there's a difference, right? People that are genuinely trying to figure it out, I really don't think it's that hard. And if you keep having the same experience over and over and over, then you may want to take some consideration
that it might be you.
Over the fact that it might be you.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Right? Yeah.
And we've talked about it. I control me, you control you. That's it.
Yeah. And we're adults. Look, relationships ain't for everybody.
No, they're not.
Relationships ain't for everybody.
Yes. All right. So I know the women have been waiting for this one. Here's the top 5 complaints that women have about men.
Okay.
They don't communicate or express emotions enough. Number two, shut down.
Okay.
What's that?
Okay. Are we talking about men that they're in a relationship with, or men in general?
Yes, in a relationship with, right? In a relationship with. All right. So number one is they don't communicate or express emotions enough. Number two is they shut down when conflict arises. Number three is they stop putting in effort after the chase is over. Number four is they prioritize work and hobbies over emotional connection. Number five is they assume sex solves everything.
Solves a lot. It solves a lot.
Because if you have bad, if it's bad, it will fuck up a lot. So yeah,
it solves a lot. You know, who you doing it with may cause some problems, but
there you go. Yeah. Now, real differences, or are they just misunderstandings?
So what was number one again?
Number one is they don't communicate or express emotions enough.
Okay. What do you want to, you want me to come home and unload all this stuff on you? Because I guarantee if you know, and I'm not talking about my situation, I'm talking about experiences that I've had in my life. The average person would fold under the type of pressure that I'm under every day. You want me to bring that home? And you can do nothing about it to help it, right? Remember how we communicate, right? Men communicate to fix something if there's a problem. We don't process it the same way, right? I've been in situations where it was like, look, I thought I was going to be on the hook for $10,000. I'm on the hook for $700,000, and I got to figure it out. What you gonna do when I come home with that?
Look at you.
Yeah.
For real? What we gonna do?
Yeah.
What we gonna do?
So I think when when people lodge that complaint, I think that they need to really think about what that looks like when that shows up. Is that something you want to be dealing with every single day? Because the women that have that complaint don't understand how much pressure a man is under on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? That's
Absolutely.
like me going. That's like me going to the water spigot and complaining about I'm only getting a little water out of it every single day. Why don't you just turn it on? And then you turn it all the way on, and it's a fire hose. Now you drowning. Right? You get waterboarded.
Can't breathe.
So,
Can't breathe.
Yeah. So you can also ask questions, right? Men aren't going to volunteer a lot of information, and men aren't going to, just put that stuff on you. But you can ask questions, right? What's wrong is not an appropriate question. What's wrong? Where do you want me to start? And then because we don't want to have to relive it, because now that impacts our peace. So we live it in real life. We don't want to come home and relive it with you,
Absolutely
which is the opposite of how women operate.
But also given the fact that we literally, like, talking about it doesn't resolve it for us, right? It's not like we know what the problem is. So for us, and I know for me, is if I have a problem, I'm not going to continue to talk about it. I'm going to do something about it. So I'm in the process of working it out. As soon as I get a problem, I'm going to try to figure it out. Right. I don't want to talk about it. I want to say how I feel and how it's making me like I'll talk about that shit after the fact. But right now, I got to get this taken care of and I got to fix it. So unless you're willing, like, if I come here and share this problem with you, are you willing to help me fix this then? Like, what are you going to do to help me fix this problem? And if I feel that you really can't offer any solution to it, I don't want to burden you with it. And I think that's another thing is like men take on those burdens as though like we don't want to drop this shit on you, just like you said, because I don't know if you can truly handle the shit that I'm dealing with because it's different. It's different. I process things different. I handle things different. So the stuff that I'm dealing with is I'm dealing with literally, I always say I'm juggling chainsaws and I'm trying not to drop one because if I drop one, I might lose a toe. I might lose a finger. I might lose a leg. I might lose, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to do this and I don't have time to try to make you understand, one, what's going on, two, how I'm going to fix it.
I agree 100%. I think a lot of men would share that same sentiment. They shut down when conflict arises. That's a safety mechanism. Yeah. If I shut down, it's because the alternative is doing some damage. And that's something that I condition myself to be able to do so that I can maintain peace and order, right? And I think that it's not always shutting down. It's just,
it's just
yeah. And especially if you just
processing too, man. That's what we do. We process stuff.
Yeah, and we need to process it alone or with somebody that can fix it. If I'm processing something, I'm processing it with my attorney or somebody.
I'm calling my accountant. I'm looking like, hey man, how much can I move over if I do this? Yeah. How much taxes I'm gonna hit with? Right, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a blessing that we shut down. We don't. I don't think you should shut down all the way and withdraw. That's different.
That's different,
right? But shutting down to avoid conflict is, and I don't have this problem, but there's some men out there that have, like, their women will yell at them and get up in their face and do, like, they deal with that. Some of those guys better shut down, because you're gonna get one of these.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Let it happen. Go to your happy place. I don't condone violence.
Yeah, we do not condone violence. We are not violent. We're not abusers of any set. But just to let you know, this is the universal sign for abuse. Let you know.
I was doing this. Look, I was doing this out in public.
You cannot say what you want to say. This is the universal sign for abuse.
Like this, right? I did that. Nobody helped me. Nobody helped me.
This bitch like,
thought I was trying to fly away. Okay, they stopped putting in effort after the chase is over.
Yeah,
I had a friend of mine.
Someone said over here, ignite. Excuse me, I think it's ignite a Raven. She said men don't want to bring that negative energy to their woman and home. So that's how we process it. Because so again, we're protecting you from our problems, because again, we don't feel as though, like, we feel as, because we know you're going to get emotional about that problem. Yeah. Right. You're going to try to, like, it's not going to process the same way as it would when we're looking at it. And that's not a knock on you. It's just, again, we're in protective mode and we're going to handle it the way that we have to handle it. So it's like, hey, you know what? I appreciate you trying to understand it. Just be there and support me, rub my back. Let me do this. I'm going to, give me some, right? That might help me think better. Right. But like, that's the type of stuff that we just need, is like, we don't, like, allow us to, again, we're not shutting down. We're just, we're processing what's happening. We're trying to understand. We're trying to solve the problem that we have, because again, talking about it for us is it's not a resolution. It's just more talking about it, and it's not going to solve anything.
Yeah.
So we need, so unless you're coming to me with a solution, I don't want to really talk about it. I don't want to talk about how it made me feel. I mean, there's a time and place for that, but work and stuff, I'm not talking about that. There's no resolution for it.
So number 3, they stopped putting her. So I had a lady friend call me. This was probably about 4 years ago. And she calls me, and she's in a relationship, and she was like, man, he kind of let himself go, and he's not working out anymore. And he seems like he's depressed all the time. And the first thing I said was, first of all, I'm not the one you should be offloading this stuff to. All right. But second, I said, okay, well, how long you guys been together? She said about 4 years. At the time, it was about 4 years. I said, how much did you weigh when y'all met? She said about 120. I said, how much you weigh now? 220. She's like 170 something, which isn't super heavy, right? It's just, so I was like, okay, so that's 50 pounds. So you've put on 50 pounds. How much weight did he put on? She said about the same. I said, all right, well, get yourself together, and that may inspire him to get together, or to get himself together. Because I'm unbiased. I don't even like taking those phone calls, so I'm being 100% objective and direct. I'm not sparing any feelings. All right. I was like, look.
Because if you call me, don't expect me to, coddle you. I'm gonna tell you exactly what you should do.
Yeah. The fact that she came to me with it, even Grant, there's nothing going on. There was legitimately just friends. We may talk once a year or something like that. But the fact that she was comfortable enough to come to me with that, not come to him, I thought it was disrespectful.
Kind of problem. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. You don't talk about your relationship problems with another dude. That's way out of order.
Instantly, yeah.
Yeah. But I told her, I was like, look,
damn sure know if it was the shoe or the foot, he went to another woman to talk about it, outside of his sister or his mom or his cousins or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And she acknowledged that he's depressed all the time. It's like, why don't you find out why?
Why?
Yeah, I felt bad. She calls me. She used to call me with that stuff all the time. I always side with the other dudes. With when
Don't call me thinking I'm be on your side. Girl, he did
yeah,
what? No, he didn't. Well,
yeah,
how you feel? How you feel about that? No, no,
yeah,
hell no. Go talk to him. Go talk to him about that.
absolutely. But I tell people, look, if you feel that the other person stopped putting in effort, then start working on yourself, and I think that'll inspire the person to do better and start working on themselves. And that goes for men and women, because you know what happens, right? And
Yeah,
again, because people don't get into relationships the right way, the healthy way, they get in on a bunch of superficial stuff and they
yep,
haven't had a chance to grow together. So now somebody putting on an extra 50 pounds is a big deal because the
right,
relationship was weighted heaviest on superficial garbage. And there's
right.
no underlying, things to keep the relationship together. So that's just an example of what can happen.
You should feel comfortable going talking to your other person about that. Like, hey, and again, it's like don't women, if you ask your man, hey, do you think I look big in this? And you know the answer. You already know the answer. Like, I don't
They
know
use
why
math.
you asking us if that's the case. If like it, do you feel big in it? Do you like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Use
I'm
math.
not,
Just use math. Just use
huh?
math. Just use math. Say, show me a picture where you liked how you look.
So
Okay.
and then it goes to what do you want me to tell you? Do you
No,
want
don't do
proof,
that. Don't do that.
or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear?
Yeah, don't do that. Look, yes.
I'm just saying. What are
Look,
we doing here? Do you want the truth, or do you want me to tell you what you want? Like, are you want do you want inspiration? Do you want inspiration, or do you want the truth?
yeah, I don't know how you want me to answer that. Because no man in the history of mandom ever answered that question honestly and came out better then, right?
Yeah, right.
Came out better than he
So
was.
instantly, we're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not putting on anything. I'm staying home. You go by yourself.
Yeah, let's go to the next one because they prioritize work and hobbies over emotional connection. I don't think that's even true. I don't think that's
Yeah,
even true.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's.
I
I
don't
mean,
know
some,
any
some,
man.
some people do. Some people probably. Well, so again, I think it depends on where you are in your like what you're trying to do, right? What are you up to as a man? Like, are you trying to build something? I just started a business. I'm just like I'm focused on these things, but again, it's for us, right? So if you know that's the space that I'm in, then again, why are you not supporting me or supporting us in this situation? So it's not a hobby. This is me prioritizing growth for
Well,
us.
the well, the
So
question well, the question implies that the two are mutually exclusive, like they have to choose one or the other. A
right,
man should prioritize work and hobbies because just earlier, one of your biggest desires was security. What do you think
right.
provides that security and
That's security.
stability,
My ass
right?
going to work.
Yeah. You see how you have it on both sides. You have to pick, right? So I again prioritizing what you're doing professionally and having an emotional connection, those two are not mutually exclusive. You can do both. If he doesn't have an emotional connection with you, it doesn't matter what he's doing for a living. He still ain't gonna have no emotional connection with you. It's not because of what he's doing. I never see that one. So we won't
Yeah,
even dignify that with a long conversation.
yeah. I'm not a fan of that one. Um, So
Number
yeah,
five.
I guess we kind of touched on all these. I mean, we definitely said sex does kind of solve a lot of things. Um,
Yeah.
Even though they say that they assume sex solves everything. I mean, ladies, does sex help during a situation, during an argument? Doesn't it? I mean, doesn't it give you selective amnesia most of the time? Where if it's definitely good, if you have an orgasm, you typically forget about what you were arguing about.
Well, I'll say, look, it also in the context of what type of relationship. In a marriage, that's one conversation. Boyfriend and girlfriend, that's another conversation. Somebody you just talking to on the phone every now and again, that's
Yeah,
another conversation. It solves more than you think. I
yeah.
think
The only
it's
issue
not.
that you have, go ahead.
Well, we'll say again.
I was gonna say the only issue you have with that sex resolves everything is when that you typically will get a toxic relationship because she will always be upset and she would always be like, man, sex was real good last time, so I'm gonna go ahead and do, you know what I mean? So it's kind of that negative reinforcement. So make sure that
Yeah.
you understand what you're not just using it as a band-aid over a bullet wound. You are actually resolving whatever issue that you may have had before.
Yeah, and I don't think they're articulating the complaint right. It's not that we think it solves everything. It just becomes a problem when it's not there, when it's taken away, when there's a lack of it. So, a woman may have a complaint like, "Man, the sex isn't everything." Okay, it's not. Neither is oxygen, but let me take it away from you for 30 seconds. There he goes. Shh, let it happen. Just let it happen. All right. Sorry. All right. We better get to dessert, man, because I got about 5, 10 minutes left.
All right, here we go. So here we go. We got the dessert here. How do we bridge the gap to improve communication, guys? These are the 5 top ways to improve communication between men and women. Men, listen to understand, not to solve.
My daughter told me that.
Right?
My
Listen to
oldest.
understand, not to solve. Women want to feel heard, not just given solutions. All right. Women, number 2, women, be clear and direct. Most men respond better to a straightforward communication.
Yep.
All right. So tell us what's going on. Tell us what you're trying to do, how you're feeling in the moment. Like, don't try to give us, like incorrect or incomplete thoughts or emotions. Tell us exactly what's going on. Number 3, recognize that love is expressed differently. Actions versus words versus quality time. I don't know what that means, but sure.
Okay.
Number 4, stop making assumptions. Ask questions instead of assuming what your partner thinks. Number 5, focus on partnership, not perfection. No one is perfect. Relationships require effort from each side. What's one thing you've learned that has helped you understand what the opposites of understand your partner better, Otis?
One thing that I've learned, well, I've been fortunate. And my girl is dope, and we don't have to deal with a lot of these issues. And everything up until all the problems, all the relationship problems that I had in my entire life, I caused, and I knew exactly, and I was just fortunate enough to have somebody that was willing to, go through all that nonsense and still stick around, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. I was very, but I was.
Again, it's insight. It's because all your relationships weren't that way, right? But that's the way it is now.
Well, I mean, that's the way it is now. But also, we was cutting up, man. we was cutting up, and I think we don't necessarily take accountability for all of the issues that we cause. Not we, I know you and I do, but we didn't always grow like we had to evolve to this point.
Absolutely.
So, if you got somebody cool, man, and just focus on yourself and try to be a better person, that's going to spill over into what it is. That's going to spill over into how you treat other people, right?
Yeah.
Including your significant other. Be honest, right? About not just about the issue at hand, but about who you are and how you respond to certain things. And don't get triggered off of every single thing. If you got somebody with a good heart, they're entitled to having a bad day.
Yep.
Right. I've had good days and bad days. I just don't.
Yeah.
Oh, and okay, and but I will say this: and if you're not in a relationship and you're just trying to find somebody or you're dating different people, I would say really put some time and effort into the courtship process, because the courtship process is kind of a prelude into how the relationship is going to go. And fellas, I know you're not going to believe me, and I know you're not going to care, because somebody told me this at one point and I didn't believe them. As a matter of fact, I got offended. If you think you like them, don't sleep with them for 6 months and see if you can stomach that.
6 months?
6 months. Don't sleep with them for 6 months. You know what I'm saying?
After or before?
Before, like when you meet and you're vibing and things are cool.
Yeah.
Don't sleep with each other for 6 months.
Okay.
Right?
That's fair.
So yeah. So, I mean, if I'm talking to my son, right? If I'm talking to my son, that's what I would tell him. Don't sleep. If you like this girl, don't sleep with her. See if you can build something outside of her.
Yeah,
right?
outside of physical. No, I get that. I definitely think the one is missing in these things, and we've brought it up on on numerous occasions, is just focus on you, man. Focus
Right.
on you being a better person and not trying to make somebody else to fit within your box. I think that is one of the biggest things and biggest reasons why relationships don't typically work, is the comparison or the constant lenses you're looking through, because you're
Yeah.
typically looking at your partner as though like they're not doing certain things for you, but you really have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you doing those things that would allow him or her to do those things for you? So are you being that for them? And is that why they're not being that for you? Because that's the only thing you can't control. I can't control
Right.
them doing it, but let's see if I do it for them. And again, I'm not expecting, and that's another thing, is like give to not expect to get back. I think that is huge, because I feel as though like a lot of people's like, well, I said it like I love you, like the I love yous. If he says he loves you and then she doesn't say I love you, doesn't mean that she doesn't love you. It's just like may not be comfortable saying it. You got to be okay with that. But don't say it to expect them to say it back. And I think that is huge. Or I miss you, or I feel a certain way. It's not saying that they don't feel that way. Sometimes they just don't know how to express it. Like even like I'd rather you not tell me than just be on autopilot and you just say it because that's what you're used to saying. Unless
Yeah,
we've been
man.
for a long time. I'm just looking at it from a standpoint of like you're starting off a relationship, right? Like
Yeah.
don't expect those things in return. If you say it, just say it because that's how you feel. Or let's say
Right.
what's on your mind. Don't say it back because it's okay, because I need to respond back to what they're saying. Oh, I miss you. Or, hey, I was thinking about you. Oh, oh, that's sweet. Yeah.
All right, man. We got to wrap it up because I got to teach a
All right.
class right
Yeah, I
now.
know that. So these are the takeaways here for me. At the end of the day, men and women, they want the same things. We just learn how to say it in a different way, and we need to say it in a way that each other understands it. I think that's the most important part. And as I said earlier, is really focusing on you and controlling your stuff. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say for somebody to take this and and kind of just kind of your last thoughts about this?
Last thought, work on yourself. If you
Mhm.
really, if you put, and this is what's wrong with the world today, man. If you just put some effort into trying to be a good person, you will see the world differently, right? Things,
Simple.
and just worry about you, not all of the things that you can't control and the state of the world and all this other stuff. Just try to treat people with dignity and respect. Treat everybody with dignity and respect. And you'd be surprised about how things fall into place, not just your personal relationships, professional relationships, right? All of the things.
Yeah.
But you got to really want to desire. You have to desire to be a better person. A lot of people just don't, man. So
Yeah, 100%. You are the architect of your own, your own world that you're creating, man. Like, so if those things aren't happening to you, man, the thing is like you're probably not giving it out. You're probably not giving it back. And I think one of my favorite quotes is, we talk about God a lot, and I want people to understand is like, we're waiting on God to provide us this person or these things. Is, well, if you're waiting on God, do like a waiter and serve. You got to give back. You got to be able to. It's great. Hey, that's bars, cuz that's bars. That's bars. You know what I'm saying? So
I
that's
got to
good.
stop out, brother.
Listen, we're out of here. We appreciate y'all being here. Otis, man, it's been great always as usual, man. Listen, but follow us on IG, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We are getting our Apple and the Spotify accounts up right now, so be on the lookout for that. Again, follow us on our page. Again, IG, we are at the Full Menu Podcast at all of those. So, hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all being here. And Otis, man, again, bro, take it easy, man. Have a good one.
Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.